In order to really take off from home in the year 2026, you need machines that do the heaviest work for you. A laser combined with a 3-dimensional printer sets you completely apart from the competition. While many people simply offer standard 3-dimensional printed models, the laser allows you to perfectly personalize your merchandise. I asked ChatGPT what sells best on Etsy this year, and right at the top are personalized items. That means gifts, greetings, and promotional products. And now I have added an Omtech Mopa laser to expand our business even further. As is proper with a new laser and new material, the very first thing we do is run a material test. We secure the stainless steel business cards with masking tape, and then we are ready to go. It is absolutely highly recommended to run such a material test. You only have to do it once, and then you will have all the necessary data ready for the future. By the way, such material tests are also sold on Etsy and cost around $30 on average as a downloadable file. And here we can also see the direct advantage of a Mopa laser compared to a conventional fiber laser. It actually has the capability to laser stainless steel and a few other metals in light colors. My settings can be seen here in the video, just in case you also own a 30-watt Mopa laser. Briefly moving on to the anodized aluminum, this gets a speed and power test. For a diode or CO2 laser, a test with just speed and power is completely sufficient. With a Mopa laser, on the other hand, you have many more settings that you can test, such as the pulse rate and the pulse duration. I barely change these values on my machine so as not to make the whole process too complicated for the start. I will start with the first product, and those will be ballpoint pens. I think every single one of us has ballpoint pens at home that have some company names printed on them. And since there is a huge demand worldwide, you can perfectly get involved here and offer personalized products. As mentioned right at the beginning, the demand for personalized items is booming, especially on Etsy. In order to be able to sell in large quantities, however, you need a jig, which is a positioning template. I was looking for suitable templates, but most jigs are built for other laser machines. I could not find a single one for the newer Omtech laser here. Therefore, I quickly designed some myself for 10mm ballpoint pens. And yes, you can purchase this jig from me, or rather download it as a file with a commercial license. Once aligned and screwed tight, everything holds perfectly. There are quite a few ways to screw the jig down, but a few screws are already completely sufficient. The template is designed for different types of ballpoint pens. Whether the clip is at the top or further down the pen does not matter at all. The desired surface is also taken into account here, regardless of whether it should be engraved on the left side of the pen or on the right side. And yes, the bottom side was also considered. There is an extra cutout underneath so that the clip disappears at the bottom, giving you the opportunity to laser exactly on the back side. The only important thing is that the ballpoint pen is not thicker than 10mm. There are two options for the focus. First, the autofocus. There is a small laser dot at the front that lights up constantly, but that is exactly where the surface to be lasered must be. Since I have already screwed my jig tight, I measure the focus point with the included large ruler instead. From the surface of the ballpoint pen to this slanted edge, it should be exactly 29.4 centimeters. And the height can easily be adjusted right up here. I think most Mopa lasers are built pretty similarly in that regard. In Lightburn, I write my desired text and scale it to my preferred size. With the frame function, I can see exactly where it will be lasered. If it is not perfectly placed, I simply move the drawing in Lightburn and turn the frame function back on. Since the ballpoint pens have a light rubber coating, and I could not perform a material test, like with the business cards, the first ballpoint pen is intended entirely for testing. So I laser it real quick, and a few milliseconds later, we have the result right here. At first, it is just the outline. 20% of the power was a bit too little, so now let us move on to the surface area. This is the original speed. This is what the whole thing looks like. So it is already pretty good, not quite good enough yet, but good for someone who is just starting to work with it. In my opinion, it is important that such machines are beginner friendly. The other side of the ballpoint pen serves as a test bed for another try. After doing some testing there, I also moved on to the metal. It left a super result here as well. To get a really nice white color on the pen, I increased the power a bit and I found it truly beautiful. So now let us start with mass production. First of all, the outline. Although it was not strictly necessary for my project, it was one more laser cut from which I could learn something. I personalized my brand name and one ballpoint pen for each of my children. By the way, this is in real time, and theoretically it can go much faster if you adjust the power even higher. Now the whole process moved on to the surface engraving. This takes a little longer, of course. The pen was slightly dirty from lasering away the rubber. I then took the dirtiest pen to clean it right away. And that is what it looked like just a few seconds later. So it was already surprisingly good for a beginner. You can buy good ballpoint pens in large quantities from China for very little money, especially when you really get into mass production. You pay about 5 to 10 cents for quantities, starting from 1000 pieces. I think you can make a very good profit with that. Here I am displaying the settings once again for exactly this kind of result. We are moving right along to another item for mass production, and for this one I have also created a new jig. This time it is for the business cards. As I mentioned before, we will be processing plenty of three-dimensional prints with this in the future, because I can imagine that the most money can ultimately be made with that. But this process here is also extremely interesting. The black aluminum cards are up first. Since I have already done a material test, things will move really fast here. I wrote another test text, turned the laser safety on and pressed reset. By the way, this is in original speed. Engraving the outline often takes less than a single second. That is obviously great news for anyone who has received a large order. Here are my settings real quick. So the outline has been tested and now we are moving straight to the surface area. Because it has a slight slope, the holder of my laser head is not perfectly aligned just yet. But does that not look absolutely great? These were my settings for this result. With less power, you actually get black writing on black aluminum. And that looks like this, which definitely has a nice touch to it as well. By the way, one thing a jig must always provide is the quick exchange of the items to be engraved. And that is exactly why there is a hole integrated right in the middle. This allows you to get to the business card very quickly from underneath without leaving your fingerprints on it. After all, fingerprints could easily be visible on cards like these. The exchange is truly extremely fast. Here we see white writing on a black business card. It is just a sample text, but it looks really cool and is finished in a matter of seconds. Now onto the stainless steel, make sure to peel off the protective films on both sides. Otherwise they will burn into the material due to the heat. And during my material test, we already saw which colors I can achieve with just these few settings. With different pulse rates, you can get even more completely different colors. And this is what it looks like here, 3 different setting strengths and speeds. In the light, it simply looks amazing. You can of course also laser entire photos onto cards like these without any problems. Coasters, that is something made from a very wide variety of materials, but they are always engraved with a laser. The demand is enormous, and it is one of the most frequent search queries on Etsy. They can be wonderfully produced for your own home and for friends. But in addition to online sales, local sales are also a great option. Just distribute a few flyers with nice sample photos to local bars and restaurants, and you will quickly build up your clientele here as well. By the way, do not throw away the material test plates. You will definitely need them for later. To be completely honest, for me, Mopa lasering is absolute new territory. And at the beginning, it always seems a bit complicated. But it is very similar to the three-dimensional printing sector. Once you have truly understood the few important settings, then it is actually pretty simple. And in this area too, the competition is obviously fierce, since many people can order and engrave such slate plates. That is why I am currently working on a few extra models that combine three-dimensional printing perfectly with the Mopa laser to stand out from the competition. You will get these models with a commercial license, of course, as always in the next video. So all links can be found in the description. Purchasing items through my links supports my channel so that I can produce more videos where it is also worthwhile for me. Thank you very much and see you in the next laser video.